So let's talk about the money. So you've raised, I think 60, maybe 60 million.
Yeah, right around 60.
Yeah. So, can you talk me through kind of as you just mentioned this beginning part of the journey? How did you go out and raise that money? It's in the middle of COVID, right? Or I guess towards the end of COVID
Yeah.
kind of
Mhm.
period. And what was that process like? Was that very easy? Was that an easy thing to do for you guys because of your connections and background and everything?
No, I wouldn't say it was easy. It was only easy when compared to the challenges of fundraising, as we went further and further along in our history, but it sort of started hard and then got more and more hard. But so the earliest fundraise, we were really lucky to get a seed round together with an investor named Andrew Beebe at Obvious Ventures, who is just an awesome guy, really good investor. I had known him from my time at Proterra. He was a small investor in Proterra, and he was the first guy to really believe in us and what we were building. It was still hard. I mean, he is an astute investor, and we had a PowerPoint deck in the two of us and not much else. So it took some work, but that was kind of the first milestone. And then we've since done two more capital raises, and like I said, like each one was, I think, harder than the last.
Why? Why is it getting harder?
Um, it's really funny because our business is, like everyone says their business is crushing it and we're, going to the moon or whatever. And I believe that. But I think objectively, every round we did, we were, we did and are continuing to make an incredible amount of progress. So it's like, you'd think it should get easier because it was two guys in a PowerPoint deck. And then the next round was, a real team, a good team, and some real technology. And then the next round was like a product and a really awesome team and a ton of commercial traction. And um, what I think is happening is, or this is my own sort of like education of the venture capital process. And the reality is that, maybe a little jaded, everyone thinks venture capital is like a way of funding startups, and that's kind of true. But the expression I use of someone is like, I feel like venture capital is like Liam Neeson in one of those movies where it's like, I have a very, what's his quote? It's like, I have a very, specific set of skills. And that's kind of what venture capital is. It's like, it's not really meant to fund all sorts of companies or sorts of stages of companies. And there's sort of like hype cycles, and there's investor, pattern recognition. And we are a company that, I think we started out in a hype cycle, like EVs were hype, sort of on top of a hype cycle. Now they're very much on the downside of a hype cycle. Hardware is always really hard. As far as I can tell, the venture capital model is totally, you can sort of see it. It like comes out of software, deep tech, and some of this stuff is like getting a lot of airtime now, but it's more often than not, it's sort of like some kind of hardware that's attached to software and like AI and has some sort of like growth hack. So, um, in a long way of saying, I think like starting a venture-backed RV business, like complex hardware, it's a little crazy. Frankly, it's not right down the fairway by any stretch of the imagination in terms of what venture capitalists want to do. And then the later you get, my misconception was, even though we were making so much progress, like you just look at how the return math works for venture, like they want to do early, and sort of like the further you go and the harder it is for them to make a return, the fewer you have, the fewer investors you have who want to sort of participate in that round.
One of the things, I mean, I've never been in hardware at anything, my career's only been in software services. And when I looked, when Nick first told me about the company, I started researching it and like watching all the videos, and I was like, this is the coolest looking. This thing is amazing. And like, I can't imagine what it takes to build this and how long it takes. And like, you can build a software, you can like vibe code a software product tonight and tomorrow. Like you've got like a UI and but this thing, it's impossible. I mean, I guess, what are those stages? Pure curiosity of like, what are those stages of venture when it comes to hardware? Like, is it team? Is like that's kind of team and a PowerPoint and a nice design, and that gets you the first thing, and the next one is showing prototype. I'm curious about that because in software, you literally could be like, here's my product. Especially now, like people are just like, here's my product. And the VC's like, I don't like that. The next day they're like, okay, I threw that one out. Here's my new product. Like, like you could do that. I've seen people do that. And when I look at what you're building, I'm like, man, this should take forever. I mean, it must take, it takes a long time. And I'm curious what you think, or if there's some standards that are like out there for like the stages,
Yeah.
In hardware.
It shows how deeply hardware I am, because I like vibe coding. I've like heard that word, but I don't even know what this is. It's funny. Yeah, I mean it's depends on what investor you talk to, and there are definitely investors that are better at doing hardware and more practice and sort of like get it. And there's probably some similarities, but earliest stages, it's like team TAM traction, right? It's probably pretty similar to how software works, but then the stages, like getting up to say like your Series A or your Series B, it's like showing that obviously the team, like de-risking the technology, proving somehow, and there's different ways to do it, that you have product market fit. And ideally, and especially in down markets, like showing you have real commercial traction, and you have to do it in kind of weird ways, because it's not like a software product where you can have just like I have real customers who are paying real money. Yeah, maybe there's some hardware is faster than others, but what we're doing is complex automotive hardware. We're like launching a vehicle platform. We're doing it in less than 3 years, and compared to like automotive, that is insanely fast. Like your average automotive development cycle for a new product is probably like 5 to 7 years, and yet for a lot of venture investors, like 3 years is like way too long.
Right.
So yeah, demonstrating that commercial traction, it's you have to be kind of creative. It's like, do you do pre-orders? Do you do like a MVP version of the product? Like you do like a founders edition that like you just try to sell a little bit. And then ultimately, you have to kind of like scrap along somehow, and to the point of actually having the product. And then investors want to see, like, just like what any, later stage investor wants to see, like, show me the money, like, let's see the sales. We want to understand that you're on a path to profitability. For where Lightship is now, that we're very much in that stage of like, okay, cool guys, you've raised 60 million, like get the product in the market. Customers need to like it. We, want to see like, real sales. And we want to see you making money. And that's like, it makes sense. And I'd say it's really reinforced by all the EV companies that have kind of gone before us. Many of them not profitable, and raising hundreds of millions, billions of dollars to fund losses, and that's not something that investors like much at all.